we're back again for another review on our road to 100 books and 2023. And I'm so excited. Okay, I'm really happy to be doing this review because this is like, I guess, my road back to reading more YA books. I've been reading quite a lot of like new adult books, just adult books. And this book that I read was more YA, even middle grade. So, and I'm really excited to be reading more of that because I feel like a lot of the adult books I read last year were so intense and I needed a bit of a break and I couldn't do it. Okay. So let's get into it. The third book that I read this year was this one, The Taking of Jake Livingston. And honestly, I didn't expect to read this book because it's not my type of book ordinarily. Yeah, so The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas. It is YA fiction, but I think it could definitely fit into fantasy just a bit because it was a bit of a supernatural theme going on. So this book centers around this young black boy named Jake Livingston, of course. And why did you mention that he's black? Oh, because that is a very important theme in this book. So Jake is a medium, a teenage medium, and he's really just a teenager, obviously trying to live life, but then he has the added struggle of being able to see ghosts and ghouls. And also, he is the only black kid in his class, and his school in general is primarily white. And he lives in the South. Now, if you're not from America, you might not know what that means, but if you are, you know what that means. That means it might be a bit difficult for him. Now, this book, I read the blurb when I saw it, and I'm just like, this could be a bit interesting because it has a supernatural theme. So even though it's not like fantasy like elves and dragons, it does have a bit of it's not your normal average day, just kids coming of age and going through life. Nah, we got some trouble. And extra trouble because there are ghosts involved. Okay, so this book is about Ryan obviously being this medium in school, and there is a ghost that crops up. He normally sees ghosts, but there is this specific ghost that crops up, and this ghost was a school shooter. So yeah, it's the ghost of a school shooter who has come, and he has set his sights on Ryan because obviously Ryan is a medium and he's just like, you're going to be useful to me. And this ghost has come to stir up some trouble. Okay. So reading this book, I already knew there was going to be a certain feeling, but I went into it anyway and I wasn't disappointed. I was surprised, but I shouldn't have been. So I think I should blame myself. So let's get into it. First and foremost, why I say I was surprised but I shouldn't be is because this book was eerie from the beginning. As in, like, it was like I was watching a scary movie and I could hear the ooh. That's how this book was. And I'm just like, Shelly, this is a supernatural book. It was in the blurb. Why are you shocked? So I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was. I'm just like, why does it already have a morbid feel to it? It was creepy, but like in a good way, as in the writing was good enough that I could feel that it was like creepy and eerie. But because it's not my normal book and not my normal genre, and really even in movies, it's really just not my normal things that I like, I was just like, should I even continue this? But good writing. Good writing. What I love about this book is the world that they built. The actual way that they created the universe of Ghost. I think I haven't read a lot of books on Ghost, so I can't even comment about books, so I'll have to use movies as a reference. They all use kind of the same theme of ghosts, the ghosts that are like, just hovering about, the ghosts that are vengeful. But the way that they described and created the universe of ghosts in this book was like it had like this glitching effect, and like they're reliving their old lives and they continue to relive it until they pass on. I'm just like, that's so inventive and creative. So I thought that system of ghost work and the supernatural world, lovely. The descriptions as well were really eerie but so good. Like the way they describe ghouls, like I remember I read this all in one night because it was actually good, guys. And I went to bed and I was just like, oh, this is creepy. I was just over here like, oh don't know. Not so much because of the ghosts, but because of how they describe the ghouls. The ghouls were that creepy, guys. It was not for me. But once again, great description because you could make me feel that way. So that's absolutely amazing. Okay. Next, the plot was really good. But one thing I have to mention is that this book is dual POV. Like it's a two perspective book, and I didn't know that. It makes great sense, and it definitely helped the plot so much to actually read the plot from the main character who's alive and also from the ghost. But what's really interesting is that the second POV from the ghost perspective is not even his live thoughts. It's it's from like diary entries that he wrote when he was alive. So it was really, really good because the diary entries are helping us to see what led him to become a school shooter and all that. So I was just like, this works perfectly. Now, while the dual POV, it went so well, it worked so well with the book, giving us like past, present type of storytelling. The way the dual POV was introduced was blunt, okay? As in, like, it threw me off because I was reading from Jake's perspective. And I should have known from like when the first chapter when they had his name up top, because obviously books with multiple POVs will have the names that you know who's speaking. But I'm just like, they just want us to know. I don't know why, guys. But yeah, so I start the book reading from Jake's perspective, and I'm just like la di da di da la di da di da, and to the point that as I'm reading, I'm not paying attention to the top when I switch to a different chapter. And then at one point, I'm just like, wait, this doesn't sound like Jake. And so I go back and I'm just like, oh, this is someone else. I saw that it was a diary entry, but I didn't actually see the name up top. But I think that actually, while the second point of view hit me with a bang and I didn't expect it, I think it was written so well that I was actually able to stop in my tracks and say, this does not sound like the character I've already been reading. So I think he did the dual perspective great because the two different characters had distinct voices. Like, I just knew this is not him. So that was good. I just think the way it was introduced kind of threw me off guard because it was like a hit to the face. I was just like, yeah, like, I guess I didn't have anything to prepare me. There was no prelude to the second person. I don't know why, guys. Yeah. But other than the way it hit me bluntly, the dual POV was done in a great way because the voices were definitely different. Like, I could tell. So, like, as I went on, even if I didn't see the Dear Diary when it came to the ghost's entry, I would know that it was him. Like, very clearly. Like, 100%. And, like, that's really because, like, the voice is really authentic. And I'm not saying that some voices aren't authentic. I just think that, you know, it's a danger when you're writing your character, especially if you're older, because you have to get like in the head of a teenager. How would they speak? How would they think? Their thoughts would probably be scattered and childish and just kind of like, yeah, back then. So I love that it was just authentically teenager. One thing is that this book did, I guess it reminded me of high school, but not in a good way. I was just like, ooh, yeah, ew. Like, but once again, I thought this really added to the story that was being told, and I was just like, this is great storytelling because you're in the head of this like young teenage boy who's not having the best school experience and who obviously is a teenager and is going through bouts of insecurity, but also there's a whole other aspect of his life that is causing him trouble. And I'm just like, those little moments of like doubt, insecurity, hurt, I was just like, oh my goodness, being a teenager can sometimes suck. And I was just like, ooh, this brought me back. And I'm like, I don't like it. But the good parts, obviously, I was just like, oh, it must be great to be so young. So it did bring me back to being a teenager in good and bad ways. So that was good. Now let me, as I kind of like finally like just bring this to a close for the most part, about major theme of this book, and I said it at the beginning, the fact that Jake is black. He's the only black kid in his class, and he's living in South, and he goes to a school that doesn't have many black children to begin with. And you would think that it wouldn't be that important, but it was a big part of the plot. And as a black person myself, I was just I felt for him so much, because I was just like, ooh, the microaggressions, ooh, the ignorance of adults, the conscious ignorance of adults as well. I was so frustrated, and that's why I have it here. I made a note of it because this was literally my favorite scene. If you're reading this book, and if you have this copy, I don't know if there are different copies, hardcovers or whatnot, but if you have this specific paperback copy, it looks the same, so you're probably gonna have the same pages. And this book had about like 240 something pages. Go to page 168, or when you get to page 168, you're going to feel a sense of everything. When I got to that page, when I read that scene, I wanted to cry, from like satisfaction, from pain, from vindication, from frustration. There were so many emotions, and it had to do with his race. It had to do with the racism and the bullying that came from the racism in his school. And guys, I was just like, oh, I was just screaming, oh. Yeah, and now I'm just making random noise in my house, and I feel like a crazy person, but I don't. But yeah, this book was, yeah, it was good to read. It was honestly good to read, bringing me back to being a teenager. And this actually storyline and the actual plot, I think, was great. The characters. Like the book mostly focuses on Jake and him dealing with this ghost, and then we have the journal entries from the ghost before obviously he died. But then like the side characters as well, I was just like, I don't know if it was the tone of the book, but I think the tone of the book definitely contributed. But I was suspicious of everyone, every single person. So I think that really helped the book, because part of you is just trying to suss out the genuine intentions of every single person who comes along. Like, are you really on Jake's side? Oh, you know what? You're an enemy. You're working for the ghost! This book had me out of my mind in a good way. And it was such a quick read as well. Like I said, it's under 300 pages. And if you do like eerie and supernatural, this definitely is the book for you. And if you don't, I still think you should pick it up. I think the change of voice for me was shocking, but because the storytelling was good, I couldn't put it down. I was shifting to the pages. There were moments where I really just had to be like, I'm gonna put you down because I'm slightly scared of what's going to happen next. And remember, this is a ghost tale, and the ghouls in this book are scary ghouls, and the ghost in this book is a scary ghost. And me, a 25-year-old woman, like in the safety of my home, was really just putting a book down out of just, because I was reading that book and I just knew I was gonna get to a point where I'm just like, whoop, jump scare. I just knew I was getting to that point, and I didn't feel like jumping in my house at 2 a.m. It just didn't seem like the good thing to do. But yeah, if you're looking for like an eerie read, but also kind of lighthearted, then I think this tale will definitely be for you. If you're looking to like delve into that genre, if you're looking to try something new, go into a different side of fantasy that's not really fantasy, then ooh, this might be a book for you. Like I said, this is definitely the younger side of YA. Like I was just like, it's definitely not middle grade, but I'm just like, you're definitely young for young adult. The adult books I'm reading, it's all rebellion and killing. So this book was a really refreshing read for me, even though there was all of that jump scaring going on. It was very refreshing to read. But yeah, for my third book, I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 stars. That 5-star was not coming because, like I said, this is not my genre, and I was getting scared. No, and once again, with the way the second point of view kind of slapped me out of nowhere, that was really just. It also, the pace really kind of kept constant and it was like mid to fast. But at the beginning, obviously, as we are introduced to like everything, you know, the way that the ghost world works, it was a bit slow. But after that, the pace picked up and it stayed up. As in, like, I was rushing. It was running with me. But yeah, slow start just a bit, but only for like legit 20 pages. You're gonna get somewhere. You're gonna jump. But yeah, good book. 4 stars. I don't even know if I would say I had fun, but I enjoyed the book. So yeah, this is my 3rd book for the year, and it was good. It was good, and I definitely think I'll look out for more of Ryan Douglas's book. If they continue to be creepy, I might avoid you, but I will still look out for more books. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this review. Yes, more reviews are coming because I have been reading a lot. And as we know, we are on the road to 100 books in 2023. So definitely expect more books. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe. And I will see you next time. Bye.